and welcome to this webinar where we will talk about technology, innovation, and education in Mexico's aerospace industry. Today we have, as you could see in the videos, we have Veronica Mendez from GE Aviation. She's the operations director. Also, we have Jorge Gutierrez, president of the Aeronautics University of Querétaro. Welcome, Jorge. And also Mauricio Torres, from director of the mechanical engineering of the Center of Engineering and Industrial Development, CDESI. We will have a couple of questions already assigned for each of the panelists, but if you have any question directly to them or to any one of us, you could write your questions in the chat box of the webinar. So we can start. We will start with you, Veronica. So what are the new challenges for the aerospace industry in Mexico?
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thank you, Gunther. Thanks, everyone. It's a pleasure and an honor to be here with you talking about innovation, education, and the future of the aerospace industry in Mexico. New challenges. So I would start with the old challenges before going to the new ones. I think Mexico has proven to be a great aerospace supplier. And as part of the US-Mexico-Canada treaty, we are in a great position to continue growing. So the challenges that we had already before the pandemic, I think continue to be quite the same, to grow, to demonstrate not only cost effectiveness, but also technological ownership and technological savviness. So that will be, for me, what we continue to have as a challenge as a country in the aerospace industry. On the other hand, because of a pandemic, there are many things that have come in place. And I would say not just as challenges, but opportunities themselves. I would list what we call a friendly onshoring, right? So given the geopolitics that the world is facing and the fact that the pandemic made it, let's say, a problem that we had to ship parts for OEMs for building airplanes from very distant places is a problem. We, as a country, and the proximity with the US, are in a very good position geographically and in terms of relations with the US, with, as I said, with the treaty, to grow our supplier base, local supplier base, to grow our influence in delivering parts for OEMs, even for those manufacturers that are now in Mexico. Some of the parts are still brought from China or from elsewhere, and we have opportunities to continue growing that locally. And that starts, and that's why we're talking about this today, with also developing very skillful talent. We have very smart people here, and we need to provide them the right tools to be ready for the industry.
Thank you, Veronica. It's very interesting what you said about growing the supplier base of the aerospace industry in Mexico. And with that, I would like to go with you, Mauricio, because what is the level of the technological innovation for the aerospace sector in Mexico compared to other aerospace leaders in the world? Can you talk about us?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Gunther. Thanks everyone for joining us at this webinar. So I'm pleased to be here. So for the question is that the level of technological innovation here at Mexico is consolidating. So even Mexico has proven a high standard on aerospace manufacturing because we are a country that provides, and as Veronica said, we are a supplier in the manufacturing sector. And nowadays, design and calculation and innovation for engine parts, landing gears, part of the fuselage, electric cars, and wire connections are currently performed by Mexican teams. So, of course, the aerospace leader countries such as the US, the Europe, France, the UK, Germany, and also Canada still see Mexico as a potential innovation market because its geographical location, also the talented skills, human resource that we have, and also our proven skills on manufacturing. So more and more the OEMs and the tier ones are starting the question of moving some of their design and engineering units here to Mexico. So I think this is an opportunity. And of course, there are some other potential countries such as Singapore, South Korea, Turkey, which are also attractive for the aeronautics sector. But I think Mexico has a great opportunity because we have 6 ecosystems. We have Querétaro, we have Baja, we have Chihuahua, we have Sonora, Monterrey, and the Bajío clusters to satisfy the different needs of the aerospace industry. So that's make us a unique partner for technological innovation and lead to the development of national suppliers. And of course, before the COVID-19, Mexican industry exports about 9.5 million US dollars. And because also crisis can be taken as opportunity, this pandemic has taught us the importance to start to implement some innovation concepts for example, the Internet of Things, the Industry 4.0, and starts to become a reality. So some of the industry and some R&D centers have developed some apps just to monitor the industrial processes because, of course, there is still a limited presence of technical staff in the industry. So we need to monitor our industrial procedures. So with these apps, I think we can track, for example, process variables, logistics, on and off time, and everything from our cell phone. So I think this starts to become a reality, and this is an example of the adaptability that Mexican talent can offer to the aeronautics market.
Thank you, Mauricio. Very interesting. And with that, Veronica, what aspects should companies adopt in their business models to generate favorable results for the sector?
So to build on what Mauricio was saying, and I think this is a great question. So first, we have to resolve for the present, but without losing sight of the future. That means we have to face the current situation, go out and listen to what the customers need, but also be looking at the future. Based on the data available and the opinion of many experts, we will reach numbers of requests and flights and production of what we had in 2019, maybe to late 2023, right? So we still have a couple of years to endure through this new reality, but we cannot lose sight of the future. And I think the main aspect that we have as competitive advantage in Mexico is our people. Companies should focus on the development of the talent in Mexico and giving our employee base, our talent base in Mexico, the tools and the training needed to face this future and to embrace this new reality. So the pandemic has, let's say, made us think of new ways of interacting. We are here having this panel virtually when we could have maybe 2 years ago be sitting together in a stage, etc. So we have to adapt to the new ways of interaction, and that means to new ways of preparing and educating the talent in Mexico. So I think adopting a model of people development and working together with the research centers and universities, I think it's one of the key things for Mexico and for Mexican aerospace companies, or for aerospace companies established in Mexico to move forward. And that, I think the other part I mentioned briefly is listen to our customers. What do our customers need? What can I do as an aerospace company, whether I'm tier 1, tier 2, if I'm a component supplier, if I'm an engine supplier, if I'm an aircraft supplier, or all these technological solutions Mauricio was talking about, like GE is developing, for example, things for health monitoring for the engines, software avionics for the complete aircraft. So all that, we need to prepare our talent to be ready to participate in that. That's the future / now happening in the industry. So again, without losing sight of what the customer needs are. So that's probably what I would say.
Thank you, Veronica. So we have a very interesting picture because you represent the industry and you're telling us we have the demand, we have the need from our customers, we need the talent, we need the innovation. I would like to go with you, Mauricio, and then with Jorge, because I would like to go to have the innovation center's view on what role do education, technology, and innovation play in the development and growth of the sector, Mauricio?
Yes, the education is the foundation of any technological development. So over the last 50 years, of course, there are countries that have put a national effort to increase their educational systems. Nowadays, they are the leaders of the different industrial sectors. So here at Mexico, in the last 20 years, the bachelor's and graduate programs have increased. So nowadays, we have almost 30 educational programs. Most of them gather in, as I already said, the 6 aeronautics regions. And more than ever, Mexican talent, young people, can afford a quality formation on the field of aeronautics. And also, they can find job opportunities to develop their skills and to contribute to the growth of the sector. So I think one of the key elements that the different aeronautics suppliers and the aeronautics schools have put to integrate, for example, partnerships agreement between, for example, the state's engineering schools, the R&D centers, and the companies to create a good ecosystems to develop the human resources, because it's the only way to feed the needs of the aerospace industry.
Perfect, Mauricio. And Jorge, how do you align these needs from the industry innovation centers and the academic programs of the universities? Can you please let us know what you're doing at UNAC and what is Mexico doing as a country to develop this talent that we need?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you very much for joining us in this Mexico Now webinar. I'm honored to be part of this because of having Veronica, Mauricio, and you, Gunther. Thank you once again. I may say that fortunately for us nowadays, most of higher education institutions in Mexico are basing their educative programs on a keyword for universities, for schools: pertinency. Nowadays, fortunately for that. Now, I'm not saying that in the past, universities, schools, institutes were only thinking on having a very strong engineering or master program. But one of the key words that Veronica said, or key sentences, is looking or having the customer's point of view. And also, I'm really excited because also, well, Veronica knows GE and UNAC are working very strongly lately. And I may say also that with the focus on talent development has helped us to really looking for pertinency on the program. So the question is, they are aligned. I mean, most of the program are aligned with the aerospace industry nowadays. However, there are a bunch of 31 higher education institutions in Mexico who are running an initiative which is called the Strategic Agenda for Aeronautic and Space Industry from the perspective of institutions, educative institutions. We are trying to dig in to a big bunch of studies that have been released by either OEMs, tier ones, intelligent firms, and many other key people who are understanding and studying for a long time ago this industry. And we're trying to extract those specific relevant competencies that industry is needing nowadays and that eventually will need in the near, medium, and long term. So what we are trying to achieve is that looking for setting up an educative offer in terms of either associate degrees, bachelor's degrees, master's, or even continuing education that may help in a better way or may fulfill with a better level of proficiency those needs of industry. So this is what we are right now.
Thank you, Jorge. And I have the luck to be in UNAC several times, and I have seen the development of the training areas from harnesses to composites to 3D printing and all this mechanized equipment. But what is the current focus on talent training in Mexico? How do you decide where do we need training?
It's a very, I may say, it's a very expensive question, you know, because we need a lot of info gather from the industry to really focusing on very specific competencies to be developed. Eventually, institutions look at those specific training programs intended for companies, but we should not look at only one company. We should look widely and understanding that developing competencies for people, it's a must. I'm really glad also that both Mauricio and Vero are really strong believers on this point of view. But let me share some figures regarding some preliminary data that we just got from this strategic agenda work that we're running for the past months. 60% of the programs nowadays in higher education, either engineering, associate degree, master's, and PhD, 60% of that are focused on manufacturing. Just imagine, as Mauricio said, and as everybody knows so far, part of a strong capacity of our country is on manufacturing, but also we have a big bunch of opportunities on engineering services and MRO. 22% of those programs already existing in the offer of higher education are focused on engineering services, 15% of MRO activities, and only 3% on traversal services like logistics and so. And another interesting figure, for example, is that from the total list of programs that we have already find out that we have these 31 institutions, 16 of them are on bachelor's degree, only nine programs all over the country on the associate degree level, 4 masters and 1 PhD, and we have more than 100 and 250 programs on continuing education. That's why one of my hats at Comea as having the chair of the presidency of this association, it's really trying to understand how the industry is moving, how we need, talking about from the point of view of institutions, how we need to follow properly industry or try to follow it, because it's not that easy as it says.
Perfect. And Veronica, we know that the industry, the aerospace industry, doesn't focus on deciding where to invest, where they find, or where do we find the cheapest labor. The focus is where can we find the best talent. That's where we're investing as aerospace industry. In your experience in the industry, how has been this process to incorporate new talent into the production process in GE?
So let me start by retaking what Jorge was saying. I think one of the main things that we can say about, I would say specifically Querétaro, but in generally Mexico, is that as you mentioned in the question, Gunther, having the talent available and having talent that's, let's say, plug and play, it's fundamental in deciding where to go. A couple of years ago, before the pandemic, we had the opportunity to visit GE Aviation in Poland, where they have a very successful partnership with the Warsaw Institute of Aviation. And part of the reason of that symbiotic relationship is the talent that the Warsaw Institute of Aviation generates. And it's not only for GE, but I can speak from the experience of a company that I know. But the Warsaw Institute of Aviation, as Jorge was mentioning, does this very expensive research for answering the question of what does the industry, what do the customers need? And they have a customer, the customer is right next door. And so I would say a talent that is partnered with a local institution that can continue providing talent that can, again, be plug and play, and the fact that there are incentives. So I think now you have seen the examples in the European Union where they have a Horizon 2020 and all the programs for designing the aircraft of the future. Recently, GE and Safran made the announcement together of the RISE program, the advanced turboprop that we're doing for with GE and Safran as CFM International. So having the partnership with the government and the local institutions, both research centers and universities that provide a talent, that relationship is what the industry will be looking for further investments. So I think we are, and we have been building over the past years. So there's, as Jorge said, a very successful collaboration that we're doing between GE and UNAC, based on this model that we saw in Poland from the Warsaw Institute of Aviation and GE. We're trying to do the same here, and we've worked together with CDESI and with UNAC to develop this partnership, not just aviation specific, but additive manufacturing. So having the talent, not just in the company, but in the research institutions and the universities, that we can work together, and that the government is part of this, again, symbiotic relationship. I think it's key for companies to decide, I want to be in Mexico, I want to continue investing in Mexico.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica. And we also know General Electric also competes with other companies, but also you compete with other General Electric sites of who gets the next program. And
Correct.
The decision is made who's more efficient, who has the right talent, who has the ability to continue and keep developing this program. And
yes,
for this, this question can be for you, Veronica, but also I know Jorge and Mauricio can contribute. What is the additional investments that must be done to incorporate the right talent and have 100% of the production process from design to production in Mexico?
So I'll start, and then I'll go to Jorge or Mauricio. So I think first, we have to focus, and we have a hierarchy of needs of safety, quality, delivery, and cost. And if we go through that in terms of talent development and also the way that we do business, I think that's a key for how to form the talent, how to invest in that. And I will let Jorge and Mauricio talk about that, but from the industry perspective, and for you as well, Gunther, if we have people that have the right focus, the right mindset, not just the right technical skills, but the right mindset when we have challenges, I think that's key. Not just the technical knowledge, but knowing, okay, safety, quality, delivery, cost, and everything that comes in that order. We need to focus our talent that's important. So I'll go to Jorge or Mauricio.
Jorge.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll go next if you don't mind. I think that from our perspective, our key point of view should be trying to, or not struggling, but really focusing on understanding what those specific needs from industry are needed to be developed as competencies in our students. I think that the work that we did a couple of years ago, visiting, benchmarking, in a sense, that a strong relationship that GE has both in Poland and also in Italy, give us a very good vision of what we should be setting up. I think that we will talk about later on in this conversation about that, on having in-house the projects that industry is working on right now. I think that is the way that we should look at developing the talent of people. Reproducing as close as possible. That has been my mindset policy along the way that we have been working at UNAC. Reproducing as close as possible the real life environment of manufacturing, MRO, and nowadays R&D. So this is really important for us, for universities, looking at understanding customers' point of view to better fulfill their needs. So I may say that that is the one way that we are nowadays implementing, and I will let the rest to Mauricio, who is their core business indeed.
Yes, thank you, Jorge and Veronica. And of course, I think that as I said, the most valuable investment is in our people, in our students, in our researchers. And of course, the needs or the need to understand the industry is basically our core business. So first, as Veronica said, is to start with the mindset. Of course, when we talk about aeronautics and aerospace, first is safety. So, and safety is first. So basically, if we start to put this on the mindset of our young students, and then to recreate an ecosystems of, for example, the education that expects the industry, and to have a analogous environment to reproduce, for example, the projects in terms of delivery, in terms of cost, in terms of project managing, all these variables that came into place in the aeronautics sector. I think that is the best environment and the best proof that our talented students can have before joining the industry. So of course, when we have engineering projects and R&D projects, of course, we have, for example, at CDESI, the level of technological readiness. So we have projects from basic science. So for a scope of 5-10 years, we have projects from the middle technological readiness that could be delivered in 2-3 years most. And we have, of course, commercial projects that has to be delivered in maybe 6 months. So these sharing all these opportunities to our researchers, to our professors, and of course our students, provides them, of course, the skills in order to adapt of what the aeronautics expect.
Thank you, Mauricio. And with these, what initiatives have been developed in Mexico to align the research centers at CDESI with projects for innovation to be aligned to the needs of the industry?
Yes, I think first of all is to have these conversations. Of course, the Aero Clusters has gathered, for example, different efforts, such as the panels, the meetings, these webinars, and also to promote the needs of the industry and also the capabilities that the universities and the R&D center have. And of course, at the government level, because of these five helix that we call it, the government has a key role to play. So, for example, the CONACYT, that is the sector of this, the sector head of aeronautics and science and technology, always has put attention in innovation projects. For example, nowadays, in the last month, CONACYT has pushed the consolidation of the Mexican Agency for Technological Attainment. So we have gathered the needs of the industry with and matched it with the portfolio of the human resources, equipment, and capabilities of the universities and the R&D centers in many sectors, but in this specific case at Querétaro, of course, the aeronautics. For example, on industry level, the companies have more than ever tried to invest initiatives to develop the innovation topics. For example, GE and CDESI are co-founders of the Additive Manufacturing Consortium, that is the CONMAT. So I think this is one of the key things that we want to explore, for example, technologies in this area, because normally we thought that to print something is just to put it in the printable and it's ready to go. But no, we have to have the mindset before, the design skills for example, the additive manufacturing and also the post-treatment. We have to invest, for example, in heat treatments, for example, to invest in finishing, for example, tooling, and of course, to have the safety and the quality delivery. And also, for example, the space industry is growing, for example, in Mexico, and also the UNAC and CIDESI have some partnership, for example, with the Mexican Aerospace Agency. We have, for example, 4 projects in the last 2 years. So it's also an ecosystem to gather our efforts with their efforts in order to align them to the space needs.
Thank you, Mauricio. Very interesting. And going back to UNAM, Jorge, as you said, innovation is very expensive, and investing in universities is quite more expensive. How do you decide, or what trends do you need to develop in research and development to catch the industry interest? We know if you need to put a new training center, innovation center, you need the support from the industry. But how do you catch this interest of the industry?
Once again, Gunther, it's a very expensive question. Once again, but very interesting. You know, I may say that rather than only looking at specific technologies, it's really exciting to think on having a 3D printer, having a composite or advanced composite materials lab, having big engines, having equipment for measuring, having lots of things. But rather than only thinking on specific technologies, I may say that one of our big assets, it's being as flexible as possible. Naturally, public institutions indeed, are not that flexible because of the legal framework that surrounds us, because of our natural processes that we need to manage on a daily basis, rather than thinking on what are those specific needs that people like Veronica, like Mauricio, like anybody else in the industry is really struggling with daily. So obviously, we are focusing on manufacturing, MRO, engineering services. A big bunch of our efforts so far is on operations. We're training a lot of people nationwide for flight attendants and many other activities regarding that. But I should say that if us as institutions, I can only speak by myself, but as long as we become or became more flexible, the better we will be eligible for companies to look at us. So, for example, I think that it's important to mention it. That's why CIDESI, UNAC, and GE traveled to Poland, to Italy, to really benchmark and understand if that could be feasible to reproduce centers like they already have very successful, but they have been suffering for more than a decade of one of them. So if we were able as a team to, including the government, obviously, to set up a lab like that, and we already did a tiny step, but we're working on that so far. And we're really, really proud because of that, because even though that it's as I mentioned, a tiny step, is going to be a long-term relationship that we just started up a few months ago. So I'm really proud of that. And I could say that is a key perspective, being as flexible as possible. That would be my big asset, if I may say.
Thank you. And in the case of CIDESI, also very interesting, Mauricio, because we know that the funding from federal government has been decreasing, and now you need more the industry investment to do research or to do new innovation. What are the trends that you're looking at?
Yes, I think that the world is now digital, so everything is becoming digital. So even, for example, as a figure, the structural analysis, the FAA has a mandatory to do experimental test, but more and more components are designed and tested by digital twins. So I think that's one of the paths that we are currently going on. Also, for example, as I said, for logistics and monitoring manufacturing processors, the IoT, the Internet of Things, are now implemented to survey key variables for production. And for example, at CDESI, we already have developed an app to put it in your cell phone and just take a picture of the QR, like in the restaurant, you can have the menu. And the same is, we take that idea and we put, for example, the QR, for example, in a tooling machine, and to track the variables, to track the operator variable, to track the time, to track the cost, the tools that already had in the tooling machine. And we can have, for example, to prevent, for example, the maintenance and so on. And also, for example, the vision where all the assembly lines are completely automated and with no intervention of human being is becoming reality. So, for example, here at CDESI, we are now developing some skills for this Industry 4.0. And of course, one of the key aspects is also to start to create, for example, our smart systems, which are available right now. So a smart system is the one that can feel because it has sensors, the one that can think because it has all these processors and computer stack. And of course, that the very valuable thing is that it itself can act or react. And of course, as Jorge said, to be flexible. And the only way to be flexible is if you integrate, for example, big data and artificial intelligence. So all these keywords, we are trying to develop it here at CDESI, and with this renew idea of mechanical engineering, of electrical engineering, and to also propose our own devices and to propose it to the industry, of course, looking at the needs of our partners in the industrial sector.
Thank you, Mauricio. I want to remember the audience if anyone has questions, because we have a very interesting webinar. Please type it in the Q&A section of the webinar, so we can answer that. And following up, Veronica, what programs currently exist between GE and education institutes that incorporate the students' workings and making this development of talent, of young talent, and to put them ready to join the industry on day one?
So I would start, thank you for the question, Gunther. I would start by saying we, by going back to the purpose of GE, we are building a world that works, and we can only build a world that works with the right talent. And specifically for aviation in GE, we're building the future of flight and sustaining the current fleet. So I would say Mauricio and Jorge already mentioned some of the things that we're doing together. I would start by one very early program that we have in GE that's called GE Girls. This year is the 5th edition of a GE Girls program. This one was virtual. We have high school girls participating in a 5-day camp that will enable them to see what possibilities the STEM field offers. So that's a very early program with students, high school students, over 14 states, 50 participants in this virtual edition. It's the 5th time we do it. And we collaborate with different institutions to have this event. So that's one. I would say the other one would be, as Mauricio mentioned, the CONMAD, the Additive Manufacturing Consortium. So when we went and benchmark Italy, GE Italy, and the Politecnico of Torino, and then GE Poland and the Warsaw Institute of Aviation, that's where we say, well, you have to find what the institutions are good at, what the companies are good at, and build a partnership from what can grow there. Jorge was mentioning flexibility, and Mauricio was mentioning having the right skills, evolving like the industry and like the components and the aircrafts are evolving. So one of the other examples of programs is the additive manufacturing consortium with CDESI, and having the talent, not just in GE, but in CDESI and any other companies that can join, work together in solutions. And then the third one I would mention is I would say, not so tiny step of co-living in UNAC with GE, with the prognostics and health management lab. So it's a start where we have this very state-of-the-art edge technology program in additive manufacturing. And then we have this state-of-the-art software-based analysis of how the engine and the aircraft is performing real life. So I would say one of the key elements in both programs, both collaborations that I'm happy to mention about CDESI and UNAC and GE is focusing on what the key talent or offering or skills we have at each center in Mexico, so we can build from that. And GE, over the last 22 years as an engineering center in Querétaro, we started, and I said it's a success story. We started with 20 people, more or less, 20 years ago, more or less, and now we've grown to 1,800. So it's an exponential growth, and that's the reflection of how much talent we have in Mexico and how we can continue contributing to the future of flight.
Perfect, Veronica. Excellent. And very related, we have a question for Jorge. That is, Paola Flores is asking, how is the development of young women going into UNAC? It's very important to develop and to attract with the STEAM activities, with engineering and mathematics activities, to attract the young talents to get into universities at UNAC, Jorge. And how are women getting this attraction into the university?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question. Thank you very much, Paola, for asking. I would like to answer in two moments. The first one, giving you the idea how we began in 2009. In 2009, we opened UNAC, university programs, and only 5% of the total enrollment in that year, only 5% were women. So just imagine, nowadays, the last enrollment, I mean, we're about to receive newcomers in September. The last one, last year, were close to 18%. So the interest of women for enrolling into engineering or associate degree programs is increasing. But one of the aspects that we should advertise even more is programs like GE, and for sure other companies are running so far that are really successful, that are trying to pull or even push women who are interested in sciences. I mean, the STEM initiative is really strong worldwide, and companies like GE are really strong and really reinforcing the idea of knocking the doors of high school, because the interest for sciences begins even when in childhood. So we need to understand that as much as we impact children, our children, or the children of our friends, and on inviting them to visit UNAC or inviting them to visit GE, probably it's not that easy, or inviting them to visit CDESI, people we realize You know, one of the comments that usually we hear when girls come and enroll into UNAC, they say, okay, I thought it was tougher. I thought I would have to manage a lot of tools. I would have to, I don't know, push, pull, hang, or whatever. But it is not like that. I mean, nowadays, one of our successful cases of graduates are women. So I may say that it's really interesting. GE has graduates from UNAC who are women. So they are, as far as I know, probably Veronica didn't want to say so, but as far as I know, they are not only happy with their performance, but the girls are really excited of being part of their success of GE. So I believe that as much as we advertise and let know what is and what is not aerospace industry, or either of the industry who is engaged with the STEM activities, the better girls will join. And I think another comment, I'm sorry for just taking part of probably as a student, what is the encouragement message for our students? You guys, it's a matter of resilience. It's a matter of this pandemic will pass, will eventually will come back. We are doing so not as we would like to, but we're getting back. So it's important that you think that you need to evolve, because the ones who evolves survives. And that it's really important, you guys, students from abroad, students from Querétaro, everything will pass and we will be even stronger than we were. So keep up.
Thank you, Jorge.
So if I
Sure,
may,
please,
Gunther,
Vero.
so just building up on the question about women through UNAC, I would say you brought an important point. It's not only diversity, is inclusion and diversity. And I can say that we have to believe in it. And as an engineer woman working in GE, I can say that this inclusion and diversity makes us a better country, a better university, a better research center, and a better private company as well. So we are strong believers of this diversity and inclusion, of not just talking about men and women, but everything, this diverse ethnic origin, gender, preference, religion, everything gives you a very broad engineering talent that can create amazing things and contribute to innovation in the country. And if I can, Gunther, take one of the questions that was in the Q&A section about the investment, and I then would like probably Mauricio and Jorge to talk about it. Investment in basic science, and how the companies do a considerable investment in Mexico, not just from federal funds. So I would like to start by saying there's not a percentage that we can talk about, but normally would say from 2 to 5% of your income or of your revenue should be reinvested in innovation. And we do so. And private companies do invest in innovation. As I mentioned, GE announced with Safran the RISE program. You can look it up in YouTube, RISE, CFM, and we are investing in Mexico. But if that investment is paired with talent creation and government, and we do as Jorge was saying, innovation is expensive. And the more we can together talk about an innovation that we can mitigate risk and we can mitigate expenses together, the more investment you can attract from private companies. So it's not a one or the other, or it's not that if we don't have funds, the company will not invest, but it's a multiplication of efforts that can create an ecosystem that will truly go the path of innovation.
Thank you, Veronica. You want to complement anything with this, Mauricio? I think from the point of view of CDS, it will be very interesting to know where to invest or how to invest?
Yeah, as I said, the investment is in the talent. So as I already said, if we invest in talent, as I said, in the students, in our researchers, in our professors, in our industrial partners, we will have a better country. So of course, I think that one of also the mindset, for example, the UNAC has is to invest in their professors for also recreate, as Jorge said, the good environment in the point of view of education. And of course, in our point of view at CDSE is to recreate, for example, the environment for our own students to involve them into an industrial basis, and of course in a project engineering basis. So of course we already had a good investments in the technological trends that are currently now, for example, as Veronica said, in additive manufacturing, as I already said, in the Internet of Things, for example, to pass from our, let's say, manufacturing integration core, because CDSE has already have a really good skills at, to a design and post services and maintenance vision in order to have, for example, the whole product life. And of course, these investments is, for example, to put in these technological trends and to satisfy the needs of the industry. And that's why, as I already said, the best investment is in our people.
Thank you, Mauricio. And in this order, Jorge?
I'm sorry. I just would like to share briefly something in addition to what Veronica and Mauricio said, just to reinforce the idea of flexibility. Once again, if I should have came up with an answer to Veronica, I don't have it budgeted. I don't have the money for that. I don't have this possibility for running this. Obviously, public institution, as many other private as well, have work on a yearly basis of projects or in a yearly basis budget. But one of our flexibility at UNAC is that because of the, I shouldn't say revenue, because we should not talk about revenue, but income that we receive through the selling courses, either for continuing education of our projects that technical services that we provide, we take out a bit of the money for investing. And with that point of view, we have the flexibility to invest on either running technical training for faculty. You know, we are a training center certified by AFAC, which is the Mexican Aviation Authority. So it's a must for us to train yearly, year after year, every technical professor who is delivering knowledge or practice to our students. So it's a must for an institution like ours. So once again, reinforcing the idea of flexibility from both parts, or 3 parts or 4 parts. And if together, industry, R&D centers and institutions, universities, knock the door of the government with a flexible, reliable, and feasible project, they engage. And this is something that has happened in Querétaro for the past decade, at least.
Excellent, Jorge. And with that, I would like to put from the side of Siemens that if you have any chat, I know to encourage kids to go into engineering schools, they need to be motivated, and motivations come from seeing and looking and living the technology, how can be developed, used, and it's fun, very fun to be using technology. So from Siemens, we can support any challenge, academic challenge or activity that you could have with the technology. I know, Veronica, you know our tools because you're a great customers also, CDSE and UNAC. But please let us know how we can help to motivate young people to get into engineering and to be living what it's the aerospace from their young. ages. So with that, I would like to go to any closing remarks that you want to do, Veronica.
So I think I would like to make emphasis, and thank you, Gunther, for that comment. First, I know at some points we are competitors in terms of customers or selling some of the things we do, but if we can act as one industry, we have the Aero cluster in Querétaro, we have FEMIA. If we can act as one industry that goes together because we want to grow in Mexico, not just the industry, but the institutions, the R&D centers, universities. I think UNAC was a great idea that started small and that's grown over the years and that has proven how successful and how necessary a dedicated aerospace university was in Mexico. And Jorge has been a key part of this success in partnering with the companies to continue growing UNAC. And it's a win-win situation. UNAC continues growing and the companies, we continue consuming the talent, having the talent with us, incorporating them into our company, and again, building a world that works, building the future of flight. And I think part of what we have not mentioned today in terms of the challenges and what comes in the future is sustainability. I mentioned RISE is a revolutionary innovation for sustainable engines. So we need to start thinking sustainability, different fuels, hydrogen, hybrid electric. So those talents, those skills need to be incorporated into our programs. So we, again, continue serving what the customers and what the industry needs now as sustainability and the future of flight. And I think we're building that together with CEDESI in additive manufacturing and with UNAC in the health management for engines. So I think this successful symbiotic relationship, industry, academia, government, it has proven successful in Europe. It has proven successful with NASA programs, with military programs in the US. And I think it has been proving a success in Mexico over the past decade. We're building it up. It's not from today to tomorrow. And that's difficult because you don't see, and Jorge will not let me say anything that's not right here, you don't see the benefits immediately. It's a long-term investment. The development cycle in the aviation industry is longer, but it pays off. Doing STEM, doing engineering, I knew I was going to be an engineer, I think, since I was 8 years old. And that's because I like to tear things apart, but also see how they work. So it's true what Gunther says. If you see technology, if you are hands-on, I think we can continue developing a great future for the aerospace industry in Mexico together.
Thank you. Mauricio, any closing remarks?
Yes, first of all, to thank our audience, to thank you, Gunther, to thank you, Jorge, and also Veronica for these sharing moments. And of course, I think that the closing remark is that we have to still believe that this investment will be pay off in the long term. So of course, it's not a sprint. I think it's a marathon. As Jorge said, it's a resilience career, it's a resilient sector. It also has proven that in the middle of the crisis, we start thinking and have a renovation of the sector. Of course, it's taking as an opportunity to start, moreover, to think digital, to think sustainable. Of course, to have all these trends for going into a better world in terms of the environment taken care of course, in in the government ways to see and to get involved in this initiative, and of course in the educational and the industry to have these each one in their roles to have a partnerships to become closer. So the proof is that our three institutions maybe 10 years ago, maybe are not thinking about to having a consortia or to developing materials for nanosatellites. So we are right now at that. So I think that's one of the proofs that these long-term relationships works. And of course, with these talented young people, and to convince them and to put it in the right environment, of course, that will continue on.
Thank you. And Jorge, any closing remarks?
Yeah, thank you, Gunther. Once again, thank you very much, Mexico Now, for the invitation to this webinar. Thank you for those who joined and attend this webinar as well. I may say that I was about to drop a tear because of what Veronica said about UNAC. I was, thank you. I do appreciate it, Veronica. We have been doing a lot of things, and fortunately, we hope to keep up working on together, as well as with CIDESI, who is an incredible R&D center. I would also be emphatic on the ecosystem that was created. Thinking on that 15 years ago, there were only 800, maximum 1,000 of people working on aerospace industry in the region, in Querétaro mainly. And we went from that. And by the way, the companies that were in that time were GE and ITP, right? Two companies. And now we're close to 13,000 employees, direct employment, and from 2 to more than 80 entities who are part of this ecosystem. And I'm really glad, and I'm really honored as well to be part of, or being part of this incredible evolution who has been questioned by our own people, but also for newcomers, for people from abroad who are asking, who are wondering, what is going on in Querétaro? What has happened the past decade that they made possible to sit up together to work and discuss what are the things that they need to solve and overcome to make things happen? So another one of my preferable sentences is it's making things happen. And making things happen not only requires willingness, but also requiring having very good and visionary people around you. Together with R&D centers, companies who are also flexible, willing to challenge their own management to really look and set up solutions together, and knocking the door of the government to making things happen. So I may say that, or the closing remark from our perspective, from UNAC perspective, is being part of this incredible flight has been something amazing. So we keep up flying, hopefully, and but mostly I may say that as much as we advertise this incredible exercise that we have developed together, the more the growth. And having in our view that, as everyone in this panel mentioned, this is a long-term run. It pays off? It does, for sure, it does. And we have seen it for the past decade. Querétaro went from not being part of the worldwide map in aerospace industry to be part of the fourth, to become the fourth region most attractive for in performance for direct investment. So this is incredible. That's why we are believers, we are doers, and fortunately, so far, we're still visionaries. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jorge. Thank you, Mauricio. Thank you very much, Veronica. This has been a great webinar, and thank you for all the audience to be looking at us and hearing at us. And with this new reality, I was just looking at a question from Arturo Valencia, if there was enough room for hiring foreign talent working from home. Well, from my case, from the office, is we need to look the new government regulations to be compliant with that. And then working from home, I can tell you that in Siemens, we're growing 20% the people working for us in Mexico. And we are doing a full remodelation of the offices to have more meeting rooms with different air circulation designs, so we can meet there with more open spaces. We're reducing the number of individual places, so we are accepting people to work from home. We have known, and there's a truth that people have been more efficient working from home. So if we're hopefully there's a new reality in the next months that people will decide if they want to go to the office or they want to stay at home. So working from home, it's going to be a new reality, I think, from now and for the future.
And if I may, Gunther, from that question, so yes, I think we're all adapting to this new reality. Of course, we have to stay compliant to the laws that come with that. But for sure, I would say a more hybrid work model, and in some cases, completely remote is possible. Depends on the job needs, the team and the personal needs, and where these customer, company, and personal needs intersect. That's where you can actually see, okay, this is something that we can still continue doing remotely. This is something that we need to do in a hybrid mode, where you go some days to the office and some not. And to your question, Arturo, about foreign, it depends, because you have to think on if it's foreign in another state in Mexico, then for sure. But if it's in another country, then you have to think about treaties, taxes, and all that. And Gunther will also not let me lie here that it's maybe not the same in terms of how that goes about, and you have to stay compliant to the laws. So, but for sure, I shared with everyone the link to jobsgcareers.com if you want to see the available opportunities that we have. And yes, I think I will go back to Jorge, flexibility. Thank you, Mexico Now. Thank you, Gunther. Thank you, Mauricio and Jorge, for this opportunity to talk about all this in this new reality virtually.
Thank you. Well, thank you. Have a nice day, and please stay safe. Our contact information is going to be posted on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you all.